Hi and welcome to see Magicats sketches from the volume 1 and chapter 1. As you can see in here, my sketches are quite messy and sometimes you don't see much on the page. For example, the previous one in there had only one panel as a sketch and the others were not even sketched in there because sometimes I just don't need the sketch beneath and I just start drawing on top. But usually those are easy panels, panels that have characters, for example, characters I have been drawing for years. So of course I know how to draw them. But most often I usually have a sketch underneath, just to remind myself what I'm doing, because when I have so many projects, I get lost sometimes when I switch between projects. Then when I come back to this one, I'm like, what was I supposed to do? And those help me to remember what I was supposed to draw. You can also see some plot changes in here. For example, Veti was supposed to meet the thieves much earlier on. He should have met them on the street, but then I left that out because the focus was supposed to stay in Veti, so we get to know his character better. You can also see here some references. For example, there are pictures of some games and some stock photos and so on. And that's because during chapter 1 I was really in a hurry. I had my studies in graphic design. I also worked in a day job, and then I had Patreon and had to produce pages every single week. So I was quite occupied, and that's why some panels were really too hard to focus on in that timeline, and I had to use references, and then because of the time issue I also had to trace some of them. I'm not fan of tracing and I don't encourage people to do that, but professionals do it exactly because of the time issue. I would prefer photos, but stock photos are sometimes hard to come by because you really don't know are they copyrighted or not. And sometimes I find it much easier to see, for example, games, because you can rotate the camera angles so that they fit better for your comic, so you don't have to guess and imagine so much on that particular panel how does the angle work, because frog and bird perspectives are quite hard even for professionals. The important part usually is to not to trace from line to line, than rather drawing by yourself, so that you just take the form and then you try to create something of your own. But sometimes in here you can see that I was really in a hurry, and that can show. I was supposed to come back to some of those panels later on and then recreate them so that they would be more mine. But then again, I have to also consider the fact that I have to go forward, and that's why you can see in here how the process has gone. And I hope you will appreciate also the original games and so on, which I have used. For example, I really recommend Witcher 3. It's a really beautiful game. The artists have done amazing job with everything. The background, the characters, everything is just so big. The only thing I would like to change in chapter 1 is the statue or statues in the graveyard, because I really wanted them to be some deities or gods that are relevant later on in Magicats' world. But I had to choose a much more traditional approach because I simply had no time to design all those characters, and since they are meant to be gods and some important religious characters, they should be somehow coherent for the world too. So I did not have time to design all the outfits and so on, so I had to go with a more traditional choice. This particular scene in which Verdi runs after Kitty could have ended so that Kitty and Verdi would have stick together already from this part on. However, I felt that it was somehow it was too soon because usually people appreciate it more when they have to wait for the romance to happen and the main couple has to work for their romance. The scene in which Kitty kisses Verdi may come for some as a surprise or something that feels off because they just feel that it is too soon and Kitty is this femme fatale kind of a girl in here. However, the kiss in here has an alternative motive and that will be revealed at the end of volume 2. That's why I hope people have patience to wait and see the reason behind this particular action. Partially it gets explained in volume 1, however it continues in volume 2. That's about it and see you in chapter 2.